Okay, so how many of you have tried reliving a special time in the past only to grasp at the straws your memory tries desperately to give you? Wouldn't it be nice if we could go back in time and see how we felt on the first day of school or your first kiss? Is it okay to be mad at the world, at everything, and at nothing? That's a word for word, 100% real excerpt from my 2013 journal, and clearly no lies were told in the making of this video. So I like to journal. I've been doing it for 13 years and I journal everywhere. On the BRT, in that deadly Ikeja morning traffic, on my way to NYSC CDS that year, on my bed before I sleep, in the kitchen while I wait for the plantain to fry to brown crispiness. I think if there was ever a time to be able to put thoughts out, with no pretty filter or fear of being judged, it will be now. I'm really sold on the idea of documenting our journey on Earth, even though there's the notion that nobody really cares. But some people do. They could be your family, your friends, your secret admirers. I really think there's something special about writing down your thoughts and observations. Apart from posterity's sake, journaling can help to uncover some otherwise hidden emotions and thoughts. It's very important in becoming more self-aware. What if things didn't have to be this way? What if we've run out of things to say? That's another excerpt, and clearly I thought I had problems. Okay, to be fair, that one was more like a poetry piece. I've found that sometimes it seems like past me has great advice for present me. If only I'd take it though. And that's great because who else knows me better? There was a time in my life where journals were the best gift you could give me. But now I think I wouldn't mind that Range Rover either. So there are different ways to approach this, and the conventional way is writing, which can also be digital or analog, meaning using actual physical planners. I like those because I can browse through and see how my penmanship has evolved with time and just jot down random thoughts and ideas. Although my personal advice would be to avoid using codes or shorthand that you might not understand years later. But recently I've found another way that isn't really talked about and isn't really the conventional idea when you think of journaling, and that is voice journaling. This is probably my favorite right now, especially when it's 2 a.m. and turning on the lights to write will probably burn my eyes. It's also nice to see how your voice has evolved with time. I even made one and called it a time capsule to myself at the end of last year on December 31st to kind of ask myself how the new year was going and what continent I was on. But then the pandemic, which is also something funny to me when people say we are in unprecedented times, and I guess I understand what they're trying to say, but also no, not really. This feels like something that happens basically every century with the same pattern. Something starts out like a flu and becomes much worse, and the health workers are confused and nobody really knows what's going on, and eventually it passes, like a violent sea wave. And that's why if you needed further reason to journal, I think now is really the best time. I don't put myself on a strict schedule, it just flows naturally. Like I said, I don't do it every day. I feel like it could be very interesting to your grandchild or a curious random stranger years from now. I mean, how cool would it be for them to read your thoughts at this defining time in history and not just the economic impact or the historical perspective, but the actual people's experience. I'm still enjoying Marcus Aurelius' thoughts today through his book Meditations, even though he originally didn't intend it for public consumption. Now, that's a slightly extreme idea because it doesn't really have to stretch or transcend that far into the future. To be honest, nobody has to see this, and you can just lock it up in a chest somewhere and bury it. No one has to see it, that's not the motive, and that's not my main point. I feel like in a lot of ways, journaling has saved me. And that sounds a bit extreme, but it really has helped me to come to terms with things I didn't even realize were there. And it's kind of nice to read back on, just see your journey. And it's so interesting how things haven't really changed. I mean, I was talking about my first day in clinical school and my experiences, and I've obviously come a long way because I'm now a doctor, but I find that it feels like the emotions are kind of still similar. I hope I've been able to convince and not confuse you on why you should journal. Please don't forget to subscribe for more videos. There's this proverb that has been credited to the Chinese that says the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the next best time now.